Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, viewers and listeners of Millennium TV Talk Show. Is titled as Somoyer Alap. We are here to discuss about the Sharia law today. Before I go to the mainstreaming subject matter, I'd like to introduce to our honorable guest, Mr. Hasan Mahmud. He is a learned, honorable person who does research, authoring, and speaks on rights in Islam. And to add more, he is a musician, reciter, poet, and author. And also, he has created docu-movies on Sharia law. From his important discoveries and research, we will be coming up today with the subject matter, what is Sharia and what is Sharia law? Mr. Hasan, I'd like to come to you, and I wanted to thank you for accepting the invitation to attend and sharing your knowledge. Today, we will be talking about Sharia. So, what is Sharia? And I have you just give your small introduction, please.
Assalamu alaikum to everybody, and thanks to Millennium TV for bringing me in this show. A short correction, my docu-movies, I only authored them. Those are directed by other directors. Now, about Sharia law is a loaded subject. I researched on it since many years. Today is the foundational event of Sharia law. What is Sharia law? It's nothing but applying these laws in a state called Islamic State. Now, religion is like nuclear energy. You can create medicines to save thousands of lives, or you can make atom bomb to destroy thousands of lives. Islam is not one belief actually. People interpreted Islam in different ways. So let's see how it was developed in the beginning. When Islam came in the Middle East, soon it emerged as a mighty military power. So after Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam passed away in 632, since then, Muslims started conquering lands after lands after lands after lands for generations. So this victory was unique in two senses. First, it happened in the name of God. Second, it lasted for centuries. And it became so powerful that at around 710, 711, it attacked two different places in Spain and in Karachi, India. And in both places, Muslims won. So what happened? When Muslims saw, by generations after generation, they saw their victory on others, it was very natural to connect this military victory to two Quranic verses. One is Imran 110, you are the best nation. Another is Surah Tawbah 33, Allah will make Islam winner on other religions. So that is what they saw. And in their mind, it was natural to think Islam is a military religion to conquer the whole world. So consequently, Islamic theology was constructed in that line. And we see how this is Sahih Bukhari, Dr. Mohsin Khan of Madinah University's translation. I have 9 volumes, but this is from the summarized volume, page 1081. Before that, let me tell you that this construction of Islamic theology was based on Surah Tawbah, verse 29. It is mentioned here. Let me read it. As it is revealed in Surah Tawbah, verse 29. So, Muslims were not permitted to abandon the fighting against pagans, Jews, and Christians. We cannot leave or stop fighting them. Number two, reconcile with them. We cannot make any peace treaty with them. Number three, we are not allowed to suspend hostilities against them for an unlimited period while we are strong and are able to fight them. As it is obvious that, at first the fighting was forbidden, then it was permitted, and then it was made obligatory. So that's how Islamic theology was constructed in the beginning. But do we realize that this is nothing but a declaration of war against all non-Muslims of the world without provocation? That is why it was always resisted by some Muslims. We will see that later. Lots of hadiths, lots of tafsirs, and lots of Sharia laws are created to support this version of Islam. Like Sahih Muslim, hadith number 13, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is reported to have said that I have been commanded to fight against people so long as they do not declare that there is no God but Allah, and he who professed it was guaranteed. I mean, until people either accepts Islam or pays jizya, lives under Islamic land as Islamic rule by paying jizya tax. Shafi law, Sharia law was created. This book is Shafi law, signed and stamped by authentication of Al-Azhar University. Its law number O.9.8 and O.9.9 says the Caliph fights all other people until they become Muslims. And it's also mentioned that this law is made based on Surah Tawbah, verse 29. Tafsir, power of iron. Surah Hadid, verse 25 says, Allah has given us iron and there is strength in it, which is correct. We use iron in so many ways. But in Tafsir it says, this power of iron means power of battle. So now we see that slowly a structure is made, and again to achieve the goal, which is creating Islamic State, Sharia law says lying is obligatory is if the goal is obligatory. Now to any Muslim, if creating Islamic State is obligatory, like Maulana Maududi, I have his books here, I'll show, then lying is obligatory for him to establish Islamic State. It directly violates the Quran, Surah Baqarah, verse 42, where Allah commands not to lie, not to mix lie with truth. Then, exactly after 100 years in 732, the Muslim Sultan was defeated for good in French border by General Hammer. After that, Muslims never had any significant military victory. Meanwhile, Caliphate continued and knowledge continued. Muslim world exploded with scientific knowledge, knowledge in astronomy, knowledge in medical science. That was fabulous. But meanwhile, books were written in support of this version. Khalifas, lots of organizations like Jamaat-e-Islami, Muslim Brotherhood, they supported this version, and it is more or less established version in the whole world, Muslim world. You hear their references all the time. So I'm not going to mention their references. This is this Maududi, Islamic Law and Constitution, a short history of revivalist movement in Islam. Lots of books support this version. Now, some Muslims rejected it. Islamic jurisprudence. Any Islamic library in the world is not complete without this book. Dr. Hashim Kamali, Islamic Jurisprudence. In page 507, he writes that such an approach, questionable it was. It was. Could hardly be said to be acceptable under a totally changed circumstances. Now, another book, Dr. Mir Waliullah, Muslim Jurisprudence and the Quranic Law of Crimes, page number 7. Most of our Mufassirin commentators of the Holy Book have declared no less than 500 times this. Now, this book also questioned that approach of creating an Islamic state. And it says that out of 6,066 verses of the Holy Book, however, it may be noted that there is no hadith directly. Oh, just one verse of the Quran, popularly known as the Ayah is Saif, that verse Tawbah 29, is the verse of the sword, which for the first time declared jihad lawful for the Muslims and said to be responsible for the repeal of 124 verses of the Quran, even there is no compulsion in the matter of religion. One verse cancelled 120 verses of values and compassion and forgiveness. The writer says it was not good. Another book, Dr. Sachedina, The Democratic Pluralism of the Islamic Roots of Democratic Pluralism. According to the jurist, the tolerant verses are abrogated by the sword verse, Tawbah 29, that ordains warfare against the people of the book. He also criticized it. So this version was always criticized. Now, a huge crores of Muslims follow Sufi Islam. This is Sufi Sharia. It also rejects the political version of Islam. Our Tabligh Jamaat in Tongi, the second biggest congregation of world Muslims right after Hajj, they don't indulge in politics. Now, Sharia, the word Sharia means the path created on the sand by camels or animals going to water. Now, Mr. Amar, in the desert, going to water means going to life. So this is the wordly translation. In spiritual sense, it means najat, salvation. That is why many translation uses the correct English word, the way. For Sharia, they translate the way. But political Islamists who want Islamic State, they use the word law. Allah gave us law. No, the Arabic of law is Qanun. The Arabic of political law is Qanun, and this word is nowhere in the whole Quran. That is why changing the meaning of Sharia from Najat to political sense was not the correct approach. Now, how the process of creating war-based version of Islam violates the Quran? In 11 verses, the Quran defines itself as a book of light, book of message, book of warning, book of criterion, book of reminder, but never as a book of law or political governance. In 26 verses, The Quran defines the life mission of all prophets, not one, all prophets, not as governors or military generals, but as mighty preachers, conveyors of Allah's message, guide them, bearer of glad tidings, be witness, give warning, and give good news, etc. This is powerfully declared in Surah Kahf, verse 56. We do not send messengers except as deliverers of good news and warners. See, anything but it is not Quranic dictum. Well, we are told that we have 124,000 prophets or 224,000 prophets. How many of them ruled? 4, 5. All the rest who did not rule politically were not prophets, they were prophets.
They were prophets.
So we see, do you agree with me that political ruling is not a condition of prophethood? Am I correct?
Yes, I wanted to say that the true Muslim is the one who does not harm people with their hands or tongue. Seeking knowledge is an obligation on every Muslim. That's why we are hosting this today. We are to gather knowledge and learn. Don't respond to evil by evil, but by doing what is good, showing mercy to those on earth, and God will show mercy to you.
Thank you. Now, let's look at some real people in our country, Bangladesh, Bengal. Bengal is a Muslim majority country due to our preachers, right? Lots of preachers came and converted people to Islam. What they did, they fought, many of them were mighty warriors. They fought torturous kings, defeated them. Like Shah Jalal, Rahmatullah alayhi of Sylhet. He defeated King Gaur Gobind. Hazrat Shah Makhdum of Rajshahi defeated Angshudev because that guy, that king, killed another preacher, Shah Turkan, and his companions, followers, and he dedicated them to his goddess Ma Kali. He killed them. That's why Shah Makhdum Ruposh defeated him. So after defeating them, if they wanted to be king, they could. And being a king would rather help them in preaching Islam. But Amar, I did not find a single preacher who defeated a king and became a king. No, they left politics and came back to people. Now, in the beginning, early Islam, how they have assumed, took the ownership of Islam. That is the doctrine of Ijma. They developed a theory, again, the principles of Islamic jurisprudence, page number 203. Some Hanafi and Mutazili scholars have held the view that Ijma can abrogate a ruling of the Quran, of the Sunnah. That means they have decided that if they agree on something that is against the Quran, against the Prophet, then they will prevail. Let me read from this book, The Tragedy of Islam, Imam Tawhidi. Actually, it was done in, would you please show the scan I sent you on the,
Sure.
The grand Islamic jurist and then the Mufti of Iraq in 10th century, Abul Hasan al-Karki, issued 2 rulings in his book. Every verse that opposes the statement, ruling of our scholars, it will be said, this verse of the Holy Quran has been abrogated. If the Quranic verse is against their ruling, then we have to think that that Quranic verse is cancelled. That is taking the ownership of Islam. This is from Doctrine of Ijma of Imam Alim Abul Hasan, Ahmed Hasan of India. If anyone is watching it from India, you can buy this book from the biggest Islamic bookstore of India in Delhi, the Kitab Bhavan. And the book's name is The Doctrine of Ijma, page number 16. It says, any Quranic verse which contradicts the opinion of our masters, means Maulanas, Alims, will be constructed as having been abrogated.
So, Mr. Hasan, one thing that I just don't want it to stop you, but as we know, like Islam is only, we follow on Al-Quran and the Sahih Hadith, right? So, and after that, we have one step granularity only. Beyond that one, it's kind of taking the line to abrogate the original verses or directions of Al-Quran and Hadith. Yeah, continue, please.
Well, so that's why we see many Hadiths and Sharia law contradicts the Quran. They have created by this might that they have the right to violate the Quranic dictum and Prophet's Sunnah. Example is killing murtads. Example is women's right to divorce, keeping witness of divorce, etc. Example of music. We will address these issues
later on
separately in other.
Sure.
As of now, I can say that there are lots of violations of the Quran and Hadith, of the Quran and Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the Hadith literature and Sharia law books. By the way, there are many excellent spiritual Hadiths, many good Sharia laws in the Sharia books. We will address that later. But then what is Islam? If we reject the war-based version of Islam, battle-based version of Islam, violent version of Islam, then what is Islam? In last 1500 years, there was only once an effort to define what is Islam. And that was in 1953 in Pakistan. When Jamaat-e-Islami demanded to the government to declare Ahmadis as non-Muslims, then the government felt that, well, to declare someone non-Muslim, we need to know who is a Muslim. And then, in turn, a Muslim is a person who follows Islam. This equation is very simple. Now, what is Islam? So, the government formed a commission. Head was Justice Munir Ahmed at that time.
Justice Munir Ahmed, right.
Chief Justice, yes. He was the head of the commission, Munir Commission. The commission handled this case with ulamas, about 11 top ulamas of Pakistan, including Maulana Maududi, and reported, you will have it in the internet, 403 pages. They at the end, they reported that the Maulanas couldn't agree with each other 100%. Even today, I'm telling you, even today, if we sit 10 Maulanas in 10 rooms with pen and paper asking what is Islam, who is a Muslim, what makes a Sahaba? A Sahaba, in many areas, they will not be able to come to an agreement. They will come up with different answers and contradictory answers. So one of our major problems of world Muslims is the absence of definition. I don't know how to address it, but
Mr. Hasan, one question triggers in my mind, like why, since one Al-Quran and the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's hadiths, the first-hand hadiths are there, why today we'll be having different opinions on a different ulamas and clerics? Is that something that having some intention to use the Islam in some other ways for gaining the governance of state or something like that, which is well, like it's a really a confusing field that generation to generation are facing with the confusion. So I wanted you to very clear, the thing that difference or conflicts between non-political Sufi and the theory of Islamic State. Please.
Well, there are two reasons. One, you already mentioned that for practical gain, people of all the religions played with God's book, their religion. It is in human nature to be selfish. And your computer, all the computers has a built-in system against virus, right?
Right.
No religious book has any built-in system to prevent their misuse or abuse. So people did it.
Nice.
Point number one. There is another reason that even if honest, people think differently about the same thing. The difference we see today is actually reflected, originates from the books of early Muslims. They wrote different opinions on the same issue, and today's alims are following, some are following this or some are following that, and they have followers. So these followers claim that their Islam is true Islam, the others Islam is not. Actually, when Sharia law was created in the beginning, four Sharia imams, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, Imam Hanbal, after they were gone, their followers started fighting so much with each other that social fabric was terribly disturbed. The marriage between Hanafis and Shafis were stopped. Imam Shafi was killed after the death of Imam Malik by a follower, Imam Fitian, a follower of Imam Malik. He was beaten so badly that he died for that after a few days. Even the Kaaba was not spared. Muslim built 4 members in 4 corners of Kaaba because they won't pray behind the Imam of any other mazhab. So they were praying and doing Hajj, Salah in the 4 corners of the Kaaba, and it continued 1,000 years until 17th century when Wahhabis came and won against Ottoman Khilafah. They broke those members. They did a good thing in it. And say Nasai, Imam Nasai. Nasai is Sahih Sitta. Imam Nasai was killed by the followers of Yazid in Syria. So actually, this is very sad. And then again, coming back to the political version of Islam, none of our top alims, imams, joined the political force. Even after the Khalifa approached them, invited them, even oppressed them. Let me give you examples. Caliph al-Mansur wanted Imam Abu Hanifa to join politics to make the chief Qazi, chief justice. He denied it.
Yeah.
He denied. He was tortured so much in the prison. His bones were broken. And at the end, he was killed by poison in the prison. Amar, I know of 3 great philosophers, leaders in history, who were killed in the prison.
Mr. Hasan, can you give the reference of the sources of those, the facts, the historical facts of those, killings and all this stuff?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
This book, authenticated by Al-Azhar University, records the death of Imam.
Make it hold it for little seconds so that our viewers can see that, and then if they want to make a note of it, they should be making a note of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. In the end part, you go to Imam Shafi.
Mm-hmm.
You will get how he was killed. And about other Imams, if you want a very, very dependable book, that is The Four Imams by Abu Zahra. I have
Wow.
it in my library. Top world Islamic scholars use this book, including Dr. Tariq Ramadan of Europe, who is known as the most influential Islamic leader of Europe. In
Mm-hmm.
his book, he referred to this book, The Four Imams of Abu Zahra. And about the life of Imam Abu Hanifa, you will get anywhere. He was killed. Socrates was killed in the prison, and Imam Taymiyyah was killed in the prison. Imam Malik, this is a classic example. Caliph approached Imam Malik that you give me your Sharia law, I will enact it throughout Muslim Khilafat, and I will hang your laws on the walls of Kaaba. See how much an honor it is. What Imam Malik says? No, no. He did not join the political force. See, these why these Imams denied political Islam? Because they knew that mixing politics with religion can be horrible. Today, what we see in Gaza, Judaism versus Zionism. This is the horror of Zionism. Judaism is peaceful. Judaism is non-political. The Jewish organization, Neturei Karta,
Mm-hmm.
when they heard that there was a talk of creating Israel before 48, they created this organization, Neturei Karta, and they said that our prophet didn't come to the world to establish a political state. Do not create political state, Israel. But they created Neturei Karta in 1938. Israel was created in 1948. And today what we see, whenever Neturei Karta they do regular protest in Israel with banners, Israel is a cancer, free Palestine. Police beat them, imprison them,
So,
torture them.
in one sense, that I wanted to make a fine tuning and fine division between religious practice, the Al Quran and Hadith is never is not supposed to be entertained to use in a political way. That's the thing that bottom line is.
Exactly. And this was stated by Imam Yusuf Hamza in one beautiful sentence. Except prophets, nobody can handle politics and religion together.
Together.
Well, four caliphs are special cases. They got the touch of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. After that, you will not get any Hazrat Umar, who is a very, very just ruler. I have written on the ruling of Hazrat Umar, and I believe, I claim that not only Muslim rulers, any ruler of the world has something to learn from Hazrat Umar's ruling. Now, what we see in India today, Hinduism, Hindutva, political Hinduism,
Mm-hmm.
so different. Hinduism is only religion in the world that claims Nara Narayan, the creator lives in his creation. Now, my last point, what is Islam then? How we will know? Okay, easy. Let's go to the person who gave us Islam, Muhammad bin Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let's go to him. He was asked point blank, what is this? Is Sahih Bukhari. This is translated by Dr. Muhsin Khan of Medina University. This is volume 6. I am reading the relevant part of Hadith 300. The man asked, "O Allah's apostle, what is Islam?" See, point blank question. You cannot play with it.
Right.
What he replied? The Prophet replied, Islam is to worship Allah and not worship anything besides Him,
Besides it.
offer prayers perfectly give zakat, and if you can,
Mhm.
and fast in the month of Ramadan. Similar statement is in this Sahih Bukhari as well. And you will get it in many places, similar. Another report says, the people came to him and asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell us something that will take us to heaven. He said, exactly similar. Obey Allah, don't do shirk. He is the only one. Take me as his messenger, do prayer, do fasting, give zakat, and if you can, do hajj. Simple. Amar, if we follow this version of Islam, most of our problems will be eliminated. Do you agree?
Uh, uh, right.
I don't
Yes.
understand this. This is a Sharia book. This book also records this report that Prophet says, just maintain these, and these will take you to heaven.
Heaven, right. See, now we understand one thing that like when time passes with like hundreds of years passes, and then hundreds of years came the religious clerics came in middle, and then somebody wrote some books for maybe 100 years from now. But still, if it is a derailment, it is derailment to our consciousness. The origin is Al Quran and the Hadith during promulgated during the Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's period, and also the next step maybe some fiqh is there. But the thing is, like, why now we are unable to follow the originality. Everybody claims that we follow originality. Still, we know some clerics that always preaches, and we compare. Yes, there are a lot of clerics. They follow Al Quran and the Hadiths, and they don't go beyond or sideline of those things. They explain what is in Al Quran and Hadith. They just explain it, and we are this today. I think you are doing the same thing, that you are explaining, you are taking the excerpts from the sources and presenting as a postmaster. Nothing
Yes.
that your intention or your personal ideas are not infiltrated in this. I just wanted to say something about the what is in Al Quran, and translations says, um, as take advantage of five matters before the comings of five things. I will mention three of these, which is your health before you fall sick. You take care of that. Take care of your wealth before you become poor. And the third is your free time. You use your free time before you become busy. And the rest of the two I will be mentioning later. Thank you again, Mr. Hasan. Please continue.
Thank you. Actually, I am at the end part of my presentation.
Right.
My appeal to our leaders, alims, maulanas, that the proof of a tree is in its fruit. You have a responsibility of bringing goodness to society from Islamic sources. And for that reason, you are given a right, a process of ijtihad. So you did many good things in the past, we must say. Let me give you an example. When I was young, some 50 years ago, there are lots of village fatwa courts.
Yeah.
Lots of women were tortured by those so-called Islamic courts. Those are not Islamic, those were not legal, but they destroyed lots of women in the name of Hilla, especially instant divorce, which is written in the Sharia books, but it violates the Quran and the Prophet both. At that time, no alim spoke against it, stood against it. In course of time, Uh, Recently, say last 20 years, our Maulanas started their voices against it, and by today, it's eliminated. Such a good thing happened. Another good thing is two notoriously bad books. One of them is Behesti Jeor. There are pornographic elements in that. Those were ruling the hearts and minds of Muslims in Bengal at that time. Maulanas started talking against those books, and by today, those are eliminated. But still, some works are still pending. Let alims do it. But let me compliment what I said about what is Islam from this Sharia book. This is one of the three Sharia books published by our Islamic Foundation, and these books are compiled actually by a committee of 6 top alims, including Shah Abdul Hannan, one of the
Mhm.
top Islamic scholars of Bangladesh. Page, this is volume 2, page number 498. One day, Hazrat Jibril alayhi salam, I'm translating in English,
Yes.
came to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the shape of a man, and he asked, "Hey Allah Rasul, oh Allah's Paigambar, a messenger, what is Islam?" See, simple question. You cannot play around with it. You have to give simple answer. He said, Islam is this, that you will worship Allah and will not take anyone associated with him, shirk,
All right.
establish salat and give zakat, etc. Now I understand it is quite a simplistic presentation. So alims, maulanas have a right to go a little further, but not too much, not to distort it. Now, in next events, we will address uh, issues one by one, issued on music, on sculptures, on women's right to divorce, on instant divorce, etc., etc. Now let's stop here. Thank you very much, Mr. Amar and Millennium TV, for bringing me here in this event.
Thank you again for from my Millennium TV for being with us, and thank you, Mr. Hasan.
Can I have my last few words?
Sure.
I want to clarify that I don't want to impose my vision or version on
Right.
anyone.
All right. Right.
My role is like a postman. I just show you the references, and these are not exhausted. There will be more references. I show it to you so that our next generation can do more research on it, and then I leave it to you, and I leave.
Right.
If you take
Uh,
it, good.
right.
If you don't, it's okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hasan Mahmud. Viewers and listeners, he is very honorable person, and he did a lot of research on it, and he has got a lot of books written, and he's an author of a very good number of books on Islam and its a role in the society. And I will thank you from my core of my heart to being with us, and for your time and energy to be with me. So thank you so much. In the future episodes, we are expecting more slides. It depends on like how we can promulgate that one or prepare them in our busy life. Mr. Mahmood is very busy, but still I will expect if you have any slides next time with references and the photos of those resources, that would be more helpful for our viewers and listeners. And thank you so much for being with us. Again, thank you, the listeners and viewers, that you being with us. If you have any question or suggestions, you can give us into the notes and everything, and you can put into the websites or comment sections of our Facebook. We will be routinely checking it and also try to answer to best of our knowledge and also as per the sources and the authentic sources. We try to follow the authentic sources, and I try to disclaim one thing, that this part of these episodes it is a trying to be learning and teaching sessions from which we will learn, and there is no intention to criticize anyone. Thank you again for my from my Millennium TV for being with us, and thank you, Mr. Hasan. Thank you.